You're listening to Season 2 of Beyond Insights, your go-to podcast for all things accounting, business, and technology.
Unsure how to improve your leadership skills, or whether you're suited to being a leader to begin with? Looking for ways to build a stronger team or take better risks? Then stay tuned.
From cybersecurity, blockchain, and AI innovations to sustainability, employee retention, and work-life balance, we've got you covered.
We speak to knowledgeable and insightful guests from varied backgrounds, industries, and locations from all around the globe.
From this multiplicity of thoughts, we strive to find solutions to our most urgent business problems.
Whether you're a small business owner, an accountant, entrepreneur, or even a young professional looking to progress, this podcast is for you.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in and go beyond insights.
Today we're speaking to Amba Lanning, a senior AI business consultant at Mindible Ltd. Mindible provides accessible AI education for entrepreneurs, business owners, and CEOs, with AI business workshops and AI business consulting. Mindible's mission is to empower small businesses to utilize artificial intelligence to improve their productivity, automation, and scalability. Amba, welcome to Beyond Insights. I'm very, very excited for our conversation today.
Hi, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited for today too.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So just to get us started, having had a look at your LinkedIn bio, I know your journey's been quite eclectic. So can you give us a bit of context on your journey and how you've ended up at Mindible?
Yeah, sure. Well, I started my first business back in 2018, which was actually a tutoring company. So I taught kids English, maths, science, Spanish. And I built a team of tutors and really developed that business, but I kind of lost the love for it after a while. While I was doing that, I also spent some time as a public speaking trainer for
Wow.
the charity NCS, where I taught like teenagers. And then I spent some time in childcare. I was in Spain for a month as well, working as an au pair. So I had lots of experience with like teaching and caring and trying to figure out how to like break down information into really easy chunks. So anyway, after I decided that I was kind of done with the tutoring business, my business partner approached me and said, "Hey, look, I'm getting into this business consulting thing. You know, you've been doing business for a while. I think we could be a good team."
Mhm.
And at first I was like, I don't know, we'll see. So I kind of looked into it and I wanted to get like some certifications in like business consulting, business mentoring. So I went and
Okay.
did that. So we launched Mindible, which was actually under a different business name before
All
that.
right.
We called it. Well, my business partner had named it originally, and he had named it Entrepreneur, and it was just too long and too
Yeah.
complicated. So anyway, we decided to go with the business consulting. And then, like any business, you realize, okay, we need to niche down, we need to be more specific. So my business partner has a tech background. So he's like computer engineering, software engineering graduate. So he said, look, this is just around the time that ChatGPT kind of came out.
Okay.
So he said, look, ChatGPT is cool. And I'd been using it a little bit anyway. And he said, maybe we should kind of focus on AI because I think it's going to really change the way businesses work. And it's going to be something that we can specialize in. And then after kind of umming and ahhing and looking at different niches, we both agreed that it was a great way to go. And then obviously I had to like relearn loads of stuff again. So I went and got some certifications. I did some online courses by Wharton Business School in
Oh, yes.
America.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did AI certifications for business processes like people management, marketing, stuff like that, financial management. So I went and did those courses, which really taught me about like the traditional versions of AI, very technical, in-depth stuff. So once I got those certifications, I started learning generative AI myself, because there wasn't really any education on it out there yet, because it just really had
Yeah,
started to blossom.
yeah, yeah.
So then, yeah, I started learning about generative AI, and then I kind of put my knowledge together to start creating content and teaching that content with the business application. So I
Mhm.
hope that wasn't too long of an
No,
answer.
not at all. No, that gave us some really nice context. I think it's interesting to have started your journey in the tutoring space and then to have transitioned
Mm.
over to the business space, self-learning. I think really, really impressive as well. And speaking about sort of the tutoring that you mentioned at the beginning, has that, if at all, sort of informed the way that you sort of help out business leaders at the moment? Has it, helped out the way that you conduct your workshops? How has that sort of informed, everything you've learned in between up to, where you are now with Mindable?
I think it's impacted my style of teaching and consulting heavily. I think every person has these experiences which kind of like shape who they are, right?
Hmm.
And for me, it's given me like a very unique skill set in the fact that I know how to. It's one thing to know a skill, it's one thing to know technology, but a lot of people that know technology are not also skilled in the ability of teaching and
100%.
presenting it in an easy to understand way. Because when you're teaching something, you kind of have to break it down as if you was teaching a kid. If someone doesn't know something, it's like teaching a child. So I think it gave me that really unique ability to be able to clearly display information in a way that was easy to digest. And that's a lot of feedback that I've had from like my workshops, and people that I've consulted with, is that they'd be like, oh yeah, you broke it down so well in a way that was like so much easier to understand. So I think it gave me like a unique ability to support people who really don't know what they're doing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that makes complete sense. I think you mentioned it initially as well. It's something which is sort of, it's not fully fleshed out is AI, so it's still
Mm.
growing and growing. And so for you to have that background in teaching and to be able to sort of teach people the way you understand it, I think, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I can imagine that it's been super, super helpful.
Yeah,
Cool. So,
100%.
so sorry to cut you off there. I'm curious from your perspective, why should, business leaders, CEO, you know, the regular Joe on the side of, why should they be worried about AI or be paying attention to AI right now?
Well, I see AI kind of like a new transformation in technology.
Mm,
So we had the internet, and that completely changed the way businesses work, right? And I see AI as that next development in the way that the world is going to work. You've already seen it being applied. Like every business you look at, every company is like, now with AI,
yeah.
because it's being implemented in every part of our life.
Mm,
So my business partner always says to me, success leaves clues, success leaves clues. So if every single big business in the world is implementing AI, you as a business owner, whether you're a small business owner, medium business owner, you should also be paying attention, because there's clues in that implementation, right? Now, AI is really good at some key things. So firstly, it's really good at processing large amounts of data. And anybody who's had any success in like marketing, for example, will understand that your success is determined off of your ability to look at the data and then iterate your business off of that data. So AI is going to be great at analyzing data, and then also now with generative AI giving you insights into that data. This is
yeah.
what you can do. That like this is how you can change your business or adapt. That's why Sift is really great, because obviously Sift is about analyzing your financial data, but then also with your new AI implementations, you can actually give generative insights as well. So that's super important. Secondly, AI is great at automating business processes. So it can look at that data and then make a decision to do something or automate a process, which is actually going to save you a lot of time as a business owner. It's going to allow you to, especially if you're a small business owner, you don't have a huge budget. Now you don't have to hire someone to do that. Or
Yeah.
if you do hire someone, you can focus them on the more important tasks while the automated tasks are running in the background, saving you a lot of time. And that's where I really specialize in teaching people how to do that, or actually just implementing the automation for their business, which is going to save them time, save them money, and help their business grow in a more scalable way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think what I picked up from your explanation there is efficiency. So efficiency, trying to sift through large bits of data, trying to make the best decision, if you like, based on what the AI has picked up. Absolutely. I think super, super important and going to be a big one going forward. Awesome. No, I think that was a great answer. And then has there been any challenges that you found, whether in your experience working with business leaders, CEOs, whether you yourself using AI have found in the process of learning and getting used to it?
Yeah, 100%. Well, first of all, generative AI like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, that type of AI is usually really easy to use. However, sometimes people don't know how to get the best results out of it. So kind of like that's been a bit of a barrier with helping people understand how to best get results. And then also trying to integrate AI with other tools to create an automation. Sometimes it doesn't do exactly what you want it to do, and it takes a lot of time to actually um, give the correct instructions and format it in the right way in order to get the desired results. And for someone that's like non-technical, that can be very challenging to do by yourself. So that's definitely been a challenge. I would say another challenge is obviously like the perception of artificial intelligence and how it can negatively impact society. And I think that has caused a bit of apprehension in business owners or just society people in general of like, well, should I be implementing this in my business? Is that an ethical decision of me to do that, to take away a job, or to give my information over to AI? Now my information is being stored.
Yeah.
How is that going to impact my future? Are we going to have an iRobot situation? So that's definitely been a challenge, for business owners, and something that, I myself have had to consider, because me teaching people how to use AI, like I'm increasing that progression, that progression
Yeah.
of AI into the world. So something that I think is definitely a concern for everyone.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it is always the case when there's some sort of technological revolution, if you like, where everyone's a bit scared, like, how am I going to fit into the bigger picture? And so I completely understand that being a challenge. I think while we're on that, has there been any sort of key misconceptions that you found when, discussing this bit of information or teaching people about AI?
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of in terms of misconceptions, a lot of people are unsure about how they're able to use AI, generative AI, like who
Yeah.
owns the copyrighted material for that. And I don't know if it's necessarily a misconception, because there's a lot of unknowns with
Of course.
artificial intelligence,
Of
because
course.
there's not, even around the internet, there's not a lot of legal regulation. So there also hasn't been a lot of legal regulation about the use of artificial intelligence, what it's able to produce. So I think that has definitely been concerning for people, and they've been a bit confused about it.
Yeah.
And I'd say as time goes on, there is more and more kind of clear guidelines that are coming out. Like, for example, on DALI, which is OpenAI's image generation model.
Okay.
Before, you could generate an image of like a celebrity, for example. Like, let's say Jeff Bezos, give me an image of Jeff Bezos. Now they actually won't allow you to create an image of Jeff Bezos. They'll say, oh, we can create someone that looks like Jeff Bezos, and it would just be like a bald white guy. But
Yeah.
they won't actually allow you to generate that likeness due to
Oh, I
like
see.
the data and privacy regulations of the content that they originating from. Because if you know any kind of like technical news, ChatGPT is sued by like a lot of content creators because they use their content to train their models. So there's a lot of concerns over data, privacy, copywriting, and I think that's something that can be very confusing for business owners.
Okay. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you mentioned there, particularly this when you spoke about, being able to generate people's likeness. I thought a bit of Black Mirror, and I can imagine that being like something which stresses people out. But it's good to hear from your perspective that, there is regulation coming in. There is, as AI iterates, we're obviously going to iterate with it. And so, yeah, I think
Mm,
it's always going to be a slight challenge where people are uncertain, but uncertainty, once you get a bit more information, it is massively beneficial based on what you've explained over there. Okay, cool. And
mm.
then, out of curiosity, this is from your perspective. Do you think AI is just another tech trend? I think I know the answer to this. Or if you think it's a fundamental shift in the way, we work, the way we interact with technology.
I think in some ways it's both things. Um, why I say both is because when anything's new and it's hot and it's exciting, everyone's interested.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really see that in a couple of years, it will just be an expectation. It will just be normal.
Hmm.
So although it is shifting the way people work, although it is shifting the way businesses function, in the long run, it's not going to be hot and exciting anymore. It's just going to be everyone uses AI, like
Yeah,
special about that. Um, so I think, and then I think with technology, technology, like every 7 years, you see huge developments, whether it's
yeah,
like the size or the speed or the capabilities of that technology. So I think there's going to be more changes, unpredictable changes because of AI, and then when we have those changes, that will be the next huge trend, you know.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Um, so while everyone's excited now, I'll give it a couple of years and I'm sure everyone won't be
Everyone will be on the
excited.
train. Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed, agreed. And then going back into sort of the business side of things, so I know we've been speaking a bit theoretically. In terms of the practical ways that AI can change business, have you picked up anything in some of your experiences?
Yeah, definitely. So coming back to the automation capabilities, I
Hmm.
think businesses can automate processes such as like your social media posting. You can
Yeah,
also automate things like your email marketing with your clients. And now you can make it more personalized because generative AI can take information about the person that they've given you and you can create more personalized content, which can definitely help with like capturing leads and then converting those leads into paying customers by giving
mhm,
them a direct a direct response to their interests and their needs. So definitely with the content creation side of things, that can be super supportive. Also, another thing that companies have been using for years, like chatbots. Uh,
yeah,
Chatbots are now becoming more advanced in their ability to have conversations with people and for people to be able to gain useful information from those chatbots.
mhm,
So there's many different applications of chatbots as well. Like a lot of people think about customer service, but another way that chatbots are being used is like in the education field. If you're doing like an online course or online learning, you can have an assistant that is trained for that course. So you can ask it specific questions. If you don't understand something, if you want it to expand on something, kind
yeah,
of like having a teacher. When you're not sure, say that doesn't really make sense. Can you expand? So there's a lot of really great ways that AI is being used in things that people don't originally understand. Well, they wouldn't apply it in that way originally, and then
yeah,
you're creative with it. You can find endless applications. What's really important in your business is to kind of like evaluate your business objectives and your business goals, and then
mhm,
figure out, okay, this is what AI can do. How can AI support me in these goals that I have?
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Actually, that actually brings me quite nicely onto my next question. So, in that, has there been particular industries that you found that have seen the biggest transformation in AI up till now? Is there, ones that you think, okay, I can actually see a use case which would work really well there? You've mentioned customer success. Is there any other
Mm.
sort of industries which you've seen, in your experience, who are sort of seeing big transformations in AI?
I would say one of the kind of best use cases of AI in a specific industry is like within the healthcare industry.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned previously, AI is good at analyzing large amounts of data.
Mm.
Now, this can be really useful when it comes to like medical diagnostics, for example. I
Yes.
think there's going to be some big developments in that industry. Like, imagine a doctor can only have so much information and they can't specialize in everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And they might not always spot something. It's easy to make mistakes, especially doctors are like overworked, and here in
Yeah.
the UK they're underpaid, right? So AI is able to be trained to kind of look at past data to recognize certain indicators, just like a human would
Yeah.
recognize certain indicators of diseases or illnesses. So I think in terms of medical diagnostics, we're going to have more accuracy in spotting and detecting diseases, especially earlier, which I think could really transform the healthcare industry by obviously saving more lives. And I
Of
think that's
course.
where we really want AI to work. Do you know what I mean? That's like such
Yeah.
a, if you're talking about like ethical and non-ethical, that's such an ethical way. And while I do think doctors should still oversee the results,
Mm.
I don't think they should be removed. I think AI will help with the accuracy due to its ability to analyze more data than a human.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I completely agree. As we were talking about sort of some of the fears that people might have about AI, I did also just think towards things like that, where there's massive benefits, isn't there? I think,
Mm,
when you're looking at, if we're talking in a broader sense, large bits of data, but when you've given it, a practical use case, the fact that you can
mm,
help loads and loads of people, I mean, I think from my perspective at least, that should be like a tick in the positive side of AI, absolutely. And then
mm,
in terms of the different types of AI, I know that Mindable does sort of, whether in workshops or in the consulting that you do, um, focus in a lot on automation. So could you talk a bit about the role of automation in business, particularly for SMEs, which I know you work with quite a bit?
yeah, definitely. So I think automation is a very important aspect of growing your business from that
Mhm.
small company, medium company to a larger company. Because, like I mentioned, the smaller companies, a big issue is like their budget, right?
Yeah,
So you need to find as many ways to save money. You also, in order to scale your business and grow your business, you have to figure out how to sell more without having to like increase your output significantly more. So
yeah,
without having to hire so many more people, without having to put in so much more time, without having to purchase so much more resources. So
mhm,
by automating things, it allows you to invest in your business and grow your business without having to output so much more work and so much more energy in
yeah,
order to
yeah.
make that money. So you can actually increase your profit margin significantly. So I think that's a very important aspect of automation, a very important reason why automation is essential for SMEs in order to take them to that next level in their business.
Okay, nice. No, absolutely. I think you've explained that very well. I completely agree as well. I think without having the same type of experience, I can imagine using less resources to get the similar or even increased output would only be a benefit, in my opinion. So again, we keep going
Mm,
back to the efficiency side of things and how we're trying to use less to produce more. So no, that's a really nice explanation. And then just beyond AI, I mean beyond automation, rather, how do you see AI sort of helping CEOs, business leaders? How does it help them make decisions based on your experiences?
Well, I think those insights are super important because AI is leveraging all of the information, right? Because if AI is connected to the data across the internet, it's literally impossible for one business leader to sit down and read every single article and
Yeah.
take in every single piece of information to make the best possible decision. So while you might take an hour, if you have a question about your business, like what should we do here? You might take an hour to come out with, like, let's say 5 bullet points. Now you could plug that same information into, a language learning model like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc.
Yeah.
And you could get 20 bullet points that you didn't even think of. So it's really allowing you to get more information, and leverage that information and get suggestions. But what's really important is you put in as much information as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. You really have to give over as much information so it understands your context. Context is super important. Otherwise, you're not going to get the correct answers for your business.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, really nice. Absolutely. And then, so as a business leader, I've got all the tools, if you like, to be able to actually
Mm.
work, in AI. How do I then integrate it into my business?
Yes, so this is where it can get a little bit more technical. So
Okay.
I'd say the first and most easy way to integrate AI into your business is to create like a custom GPT where you train a GPT like ChatGPT, you train a GPT for a specific purpose,
Mm.
so that you don't have to give over that information again and again and again
Yeah.
and again,
Yeah.
right? So that's a very fundamental way. A second great way to implement AI and automation into your business is by using these no-code automation platforms,
Okay.
which can link multiple platforms together in order to create one workflow. And as a part of that, you could use AI. So one step in that workflow could be using AI to generate information, generate content for
Mhm.
you. So for example, if you wanted to generate social media posts,
Yeah.
you could start off with a trigger. So a trigger could be like, let's just say every Monday at 9 a.m., you're going to begin this workflow. And then it could go to ChatGPT, for example, and you could give an instruction for it to generate a social media post relating to my business, which offers this. This is the target audience that I'm trying to reach. Okay. And
Yeah.
then you could have an image generation tool below that. And then you could link it to, let's say, Facebook. You could link it to LinkedIn. You can
Yeah.
link it to your website so you can post blogs. And then you have a workflow that every Monday it's creating that automation for you. So that's a great way to implement it into your business, which is easier for beginners. I'd say if you want to go more advanced, it might involve some coding, but you can definitely do some back end automations for your business. So let's say if you had an e-commerce website, you could
Okay.
try to figure out which products are most viewed, which products are most purchased. You can analyze your stock intake, and then you can create an automation to contact your stock provider when you're low in stock in order to reorder that stock, which previously
Mhm.
would be a manual process. Now it's
Yeah.
an automated process. So there's definitely a range from like very easy beginner level all the way up until like advanced. And it's going to require different amounts of time, different amounts of investment, but there's definitely an opportunity for every single type of business,
Yeah.
um, to kind of like start off easier and then build.
And then what do you say for those sort of people who aren't as tech savvy? I think you've explained some really nice, use cases for how you can integrate it. But if I'm feeling overwhelmed about how to even get started,
Mm,
how would you suggest to me, like, these are some practical steps that you can take to actually start implementing AI in your
yeah.
business? Like what would I be looking at?
Okay, so first off, you're gonna have to do like a little business analysis. Okay, so
Okay.
try to identify which processes are very repetitive in your business, which processes are taking up time,
Yeah.
and which processes involve a large amount of technology, right? Um, and a little, not much creativity, right? Because humans are great at creativity and computers not as. Anyway, so figure out those processes in your business that are taking up a lot of time, that are very repetitive, and largely technology based. Then look at your business goals. What are you trying to achieve in your business? How are you trying to grow your business? Once you figure out those two things, then try to come up with like one or two things that you think you could automate or save time, right? Based on those repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
And then research, right? Research, are there any AI tools that specifically are targeting this? Instead of looking at every single AI tool and trying to pick one, focus specifically on what you're trying to achieve in your business to make sure that you're not like pointlessly implementing
Yeah.
AI or automation in your business, right? And then as part of that research, you can do things like courses. So we offer courses and we offer workshops as well, so that you can actually learn step by step how you're going to go from I don't know what I'm doing to actually I've implemented this into my business. And that's super good. And also like meeting with people like consultants. So in my business, we offer like a free call where we will actually help you with this process. So kind of like getting that expert advice and opinions in a way that's not going to be too expensive for your business, but it's going to give you information that you don't necessarily have, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think those are definitely sort of implementable steps that one can take. I think if I'm thinking of other listeners to today's podcast, that would be the major barrier to sort of getting AI implemented into the business. It's how exactly do we get it going? So, speak to experts, research, have a look at your business, analyze where exactly it would be most useful, and then go and implement it, is what it sounds like.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
definitely. I think the key starting step is figuring out the repetitive processes. That's the
Yeah.
key starting step.
Okay. Okay, nice. No, I think that's useful sort of steps to be able to take going forward. And then now we're talking, I'm implementing AI into my business. It's going to be used in this scenario and this scenario. Do you think, in your opinion, decisions will start moving from intuition based to data driven based on implementing AI in your business?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think we live in a data world currently.
Yeah.
So the reason why Facebook is doing as well as it has been with marketing is because they will use your data to target to you specifically.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been regulations around data usage, which means now in Europe there's a lot more restrictions
Mhm.
to what data gets shared and how it's used. However, I think especially for like smaller companies, small SMEs, sometimes they don't really necessarily understand how data is used and how it can be efficient in helping you understand your customer
Yeah.
and targeting your customer better. So I definitely think AI is going to push us to being more data driven as a society.
Nice. And, you know, there'll be a couple of people listening in today who are probably interested in getting AI adoption up in their business, but are uncertain about what skills maybe they need to have to, sort of stay relevant. You mentioned there that we do live in a data world. AI, it's, the genie's out of the bottle and it's there's no putting
Yeah.
it back in. So how, in your opinion, do, modern business leaders, how do they stay relevant in this AI and data-driven world?
I think in terms of understanding the abilities of I think it's very important that you don't bury your head in the sand, right? So
Mhm.
even the fact that they're listening to this podcast will show that they're already taking the steps required to keep
Absolutely.
them up to date. So keep on taking in information as much as you can, okay? So whether that's reading articles, listening to workshops, doing courses, keeping up to date with the relevant information as much as you can. And then just figuring out being flexible in your business as well, being open to change.
Yeah.
And I think the most successful businesses are the ones who are willing to test things and willing to try new things out and willing to invest in their business, okay? Because, the world is changing. So you kind of have to change your business as
Yeah.
well and keep moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice, I'd say. And then as, a business leader, how do I then, knowing all this information that I know, go back into my business and start, fostering a culture which is receptive to AI? Because, it's one thing to explain everything which is good about AI, but there still might be friction. There might be people who are anti-change, whether it be for,
Mm,
I don't want this thing taking my job, or I don't want, this process being
mm.
changed. How do you foster a culture within your business that's actually receptive to AI and all its benefits?
I think in terms of, supporting your team and supporting your business in order to take up the new technology, it's really about helping them understand that this is going to help you do your job better, right? This is going to take things off your plate that are taking up time that you don't need to do.
Yeah,
Now it's gonna allow you to focus on more interesting things, things that are going to stimulate your brain. So really about having that training within your business, the education within your business, to help people understand that, look, we don't want to take your job away. What we want to
mm,
do is give you the opportunity to work on different things. Yeah, focus on the things that are really going to matter in business, not the boring, repetitive,
mm,
mundane tasks that you have
yeah.
to do day in, day out, which make jobs, it makes jobs not fun as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from the perspective of the business leader, once you start to see the benefits of AI, how efficient everything is running in the business, how you've been able to sort of reduce excess and you've been able to produce the same with the same amount of resources, how do you as a business leader sort of balance that human expertise with AI? Because it might look a bit nicer to have AI run for the most part. How do you sort of balance that? Because I imagine there's still quite a bit that human beings can give you in a business that maybe AI might not.
Yeah, definitely. I think, first of all, we have to understand that the creativity of the human mind is something that is unique, right? Based off of different perspectives. You
Yeah,
can train a computer to do what you want it to do, and to give you specific outputs, but humans have a lot more unique perspectives to give to the world because they're not running off of all of the information on the internet. They're running off of their own minds.
personal
Okay.
experiences as well.
I
Yeah.
think yeah, definitely. And I think there's also a lot to be said for human connection as well. Like I mentioned chatbots previously. Well, when I go onto a customer service chatbot, I really want to speak to a human.
Mm,
Okay. Because as a human, I value human interactions. I hate when you call a company on the phone and you have to go through 10 different options just to reach someone.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
So although businesses can be improved through AI and automation, don't underestimate how much your customers really want a human. So there's
Human
always
touch.
going to be place for humans in businesses, I believe. So use AI where it's not going to be obstructive to kind of the experience of your
Mhm.
business. It's not going to take away from the experience, um, and where it's going to give you more efficiency, as you said, and use humans where it's going to help you build relationships.
Nice. No, absolutely. I think just from my perspective and in this conversation, having that human connection, although I can see the benefits of AI, is also important. So, no, it's nice to hear you say that. There's definitely a way that we can strike a nice balance between let's get the repetitive tasks automated and running more efficiently, but let's also have human beings where we can, because, like you say, that human connection, it's invaluable.
Yeah, and it's irreplaceable. I,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to feel the connection with a computer that I would with a human. I mean, that's debatable. Uh, I'm
For the time
sure,
being,
but
yeah.
yeah, you know how you have like these new like there I think there's a movie that came out recently that's like an AI robot girlfriend. I can definitely see that being some sort of like dystopian reality where people are building relationships with computers,
Mhm.
but I don't think it's ever going to be the same.
The same as a human being. No, absolutely. I think I have seen a couple of those dystopian movies, and I think that might
Yeah.
be part of what stokes people's fears. But this is why I was so excited for us to have a chat and just to hear from your perspective, how exactly you see that balance going. So, yeah, no,
Mm.
seriously, seriously cool. And then, just looking forward, as a business owner, as business leader, as a CEO, what type of things should I be looking at in terms of AI trends over the next sort of
Mm.
3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I definitely think we've seen a lot in text generation and a good amount in image generation. I think one thing we should be keeping an eye out for is video generation.
Okay.
So right now, there's definitely some big developments. So OpenAI is developing Sora. There's another company called Runway, which is also doing like video generation, but currently it's very like in the beta testing phase.
Okay.
So it's good at generating like short clips, maybe like 5 seconds of landscapes, sometimes humans, but it's not as good with like the live footage of humans. But I think based on what I've seen within the beta testing phases, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, it's going to be very easy to create videos, artificially generated videos, which are going to have huge applications, especially in the media industry. If you
Yeah.
think about films, if you think about video games, you think about virtual reality, like how much it costs in order to generate special effects currently,
Mhm.
and how easy it's going to be to do that. So I think that's definitely something that's going to change for a lot of businesses. I mean, there's also another platform called HeyGen where I can create like an avatar of myself and I can create like a voice clone of myself. So I could also create a script using generative AI. So I
Yeah.
could create a whole video where it looks like me, sounds like me, but I never said those words. I never even came up with those words.
Yeah.
So definitely be aware of like the trends of AI generated video content.
Mhm, mhm. And I guess that's probably where, like, in time, some of the regulation will catch up with the speed of the tech as well. Because
Mm,
I'm just thinking from my perspective, you mentioned sort of video generation or AI coming into video generation. I've seen, if you've been online, things like those deep fakes, I think they're called, where
yeah.
there's a human generated or what looks like a human, similar to the person's likeness and a bit of speech as well. So it's interesting the way that it's I think even to myself, who I consider myself quite with it with regards to tech, I'm
Yeah.
sometimes just like, wow, it is crazy how quickly things are developing. So no, absolutely.
Mm,
That's a good thing to look out for, and a couple good points there to look out for in the coming years. And then in terms of within business or for business leaders, is there particular industries, is there particular business functions where you can see AI disrupting? Because, anytime there's a tech sort of progression, it does somewhat disrupt the flow of things. So is there something specific we should be keeping an eye out for with regards to where AI is going to be sort of disrupting, if you like, next?
I would say the marketing industry definitely.
Really?
Obviously with the content generation side of marketing material, but also with like the back end stuff where you're actually creating advertisements, generating keywords, figuring out the best way to ha- um, have a funnel, the different options of that funnel. I think where you probably would have hired an agency or hired like a whole team of marketing people, you're
Mm,
definitely going to see a lot less people needed to
yeah.
complete that same function. So I think the marketing aspect of your business is going to be a big one that's going to be changed. But I can really see it applying to your entire business, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I think in one way or another, there's definitely elements which could have AI sort of integrated into it, whether it's to, like you said, in the marketing space, searching keywords, which
Mm,
people are going to be looking into, or search engine optimization, where this is what's been looked at most often, or sort of zeroing in on some of people's likes and dislikes to produce marketing content for them, which is tailored specifically
mm,
towards them. I think from a consumer perspective, it's also quite exciting because it doesn't leave you with so much choice. Things are
mm.
sort of quite niched and looking into exactly what it is that you like. So no, it's an exciting time. I'm excited, at least. I hope everyone
Yeah.
listening is as excited as well. And then from your perspective, what developments are you excited for?
I'm definitely excited for the stuff that I don't know, like the stuff that I can't think of. There's always
Mm,
like unintended consequences of
mm,
any sort of change in society. Like there's like with the internet, there's so many good things and also not good things that we couldn't have predicted. So
yeah,
I'm really excited to see what are the things that I couldn't even imagine up in my head,
yeah,
you know? I
yeah.
sometimes think like, in 25 years, there's so many things are going to have happened that I could never have expected,
Mm,
and I
mm.
think that's what I'm most excited for.
No, absolutely. I think if people in 2006 were to see how rapidly technologies change now, they would probably be over the moon as well. So, yeah, I'm also
Mm,
next 20 years can only imagine sort of what type of tech is going to be out there and having been driven by AI. So that's a really nice one. That's a nice one.
yeah.
And then for, any business leaders, CEOs listening to today's podcast, if they want to take just one action, it's a difficult question, but if they were to just take
Mm.
one action on AI, what would you recommend?
I would I would first of all say make sure you learn how to create best input, okay, in order to
Yeah.
get the best out. Make sure you research and understand that because without understanding the quality of the input, you're never going to maximize the quality of your output.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important because um, without knowing too much about AI, it's easy to just think, okay, this is going to be a quick resolution to everything I have. But that importance
Mm,
of what you put into the AI for it to generate those answers for you is super, super important. So no, that's a really good one to mention. Um, just as we end off today's session, which has been thoroughly enjoyable, as I mentioned before, I could honestly just sit for hours and just pepper you with questions. But
yeah.
as we end off, I'm going to ask you a couple rapid fire questions and don't think too much, just whatever first comes to your head, um, you can answer. So, firstly, what's one piece of software besides Sift that you can't live without?
Oh gosh. Um, that's a hard one because there's so many good ones. I would definitely say Zapier. It's an
Zapier.
automation tool. Yeah, Zapier. Because it allows you to integrate with loads of other software. So
Mhm,
love
mhm.
Zapier.
No, we're well aware of Zapier as well. So, no, very nice. Okay, cool. And then I think this one will be interesting to people as well. What's the best book you've read recently? It doesn't have to be to do with AI. It might just be one that you really enjoyed and maybe it's changed your perspective on things, or you just enjoyed it because, you got to escape a bit into the book.
Yeah. The best book that I've read recently was a fiction book. It's called Deception Point by Dan Brown. It's kind of
Okay,
like a political drama. Non-fiction, I've been reading Atomic Habits. It's definitely been helping me improve the structure of my day.
oh, nice. Okay, I'm actually going to note down Deception Point because that sounds
Yeah.
really, it
So
sounds
good. I loved it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then in terms of podcasts, we're obviously on a
Mm.
podcast right now. We're in the age of podcasts. Is there any podcast that you've been listening to recently, or podcasts, if you like, that you
Mm.
recommend, that you've really enjoyed? Yeah, it can be multiple if you like.
Yeah, definitely. I'm big into like the business podcasts.
Okay.
Like the obvious one, Diary of a CEO. I
Mm,
also love Patricia Bright. I think her podcast is called The Break. And then there's another
break.
one,
Okay.
podcaster. His name's Callum Johnson. The Callum Johnson Show. Yeah. So there's a few,
Okay.
but I listen
Okay.
to so many, I couldn't possibly come up with all of them
Yeah, I know
in
it is a
one
difficult
go.
one. I thought this one was a bit cruel because of how easily
Yeah.
accessible podcasts are. It's hard to just narrow it down, so no problem. And then going back to sort of your background, the work that you do at Mindable, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned about building a business?
I would definitely say the ability to be able to take action and not spend too much time on strategy. I think strategize for some time, but take more action because you're going to learn more from mistakes rather than trying to predict what is going to happen. So, learning from my mistakes, I've learned so much. I'm such a much better business person because of the mistakes that I've made.
That's great. No, that's great. And then just lastly, for all those listening to today's podcast, what's one thing you would like for them to take away?
Is you can't be afraid to learn what's new. Don't get left behind. With technology, do not get left behind. You're going to leave your business behind too.
Nice. No, awesome. And I think that is sort of the theme of today's session, isn't it? It's don't be afraid of, AI. Like I said earlier, the genie's out of the bottle. It's now adapting, understanding what it is. It is beneficial. And like you say there, don't be left behind. So yeah, I think that's sort of nice place to wrap up. I do just want to thank you so much for joining us today, Amber. It has been a pleasure. I know we're sort of limited on time, but it's been super, super insightful. It's great to hear how your journey started all the way to, where you are now at Mindible and some of those insights. I think there's lots to be taken away for people who've been listening to today's pod. So thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, really, really appreciate it.
Right, thank you so much. This is my first ever podcast that I've been on, so I'm really loving it.
Fantastic. Well, it's my first podcast as well, so first podcast.
Ah,
But yeah, thank you so much. It's been really, really good.
thank you. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.